129th Constitutional Amendment Bill, what are the terminologies and what are the different provisions of this bill. There are certain terms which you have to understand from here. There are certain terms which have been mentioned in the Act. In 2034, there is first simultaneous election. Okay. Simultaneous election means election to both Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. Bill on simultaneous polls. So this is the 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill which has been introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay. So this is the 129th Constitutional Bill. Constitutional Amendment Bill. Constitutional Amendment Bill. So let's see the provisions of it. Let's see the provisions of it, that what actually has been done under this 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill. What are the terminologies and what are the different provisions of this bill? Okay. See here, there are certain terms which you have to understand from here. There are certain terms which have been mentioned in the Act. Okay. So one of the term is full term. Full term. So full term has been defined now, that full term will be equal to 5 years. Full term will be equal to 5 years, which has been defined under this 129th Constitutional Amendment Act. Second thing is unexpired term. Unexpired term. So what is the meaning of this unexpired term? Let us say that in 2034, there is first simultaneous election. Okay. Simultaneous election means election to both Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. Okay. So there is election to both Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. State Legislative Assembly. So right now it has not included the panchayat election. It has not included the panchayat election as per the provisions of this bill right now. Maybe the government will bring another act in future which will merge that election also. But what we see here right now, that it is only about simultaneous elections in Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. So suppose in 2034 we are having the first simultaneous election. Okay. And let us say that we are talking about a state, for example, Himachal Pradesh. We are talking about a state, Himachal Pradesh. Okay. So let us say that in 2034, there was an election, the first simultaneous election, and in 2037, by June 2037, the government has completed 3 years, but due to some reason, there is dissolution. Now, the next election is supposed to be conducted in 2039. Okay, once this has been conducted, second simultaneous election, it will be done in 2039. So what has been said as part of this bill? Is like there will be a election here. Election will be conducted. Now, in this part, it has been said that the elected house will have a term of 2 years. Okay. So this remaining thing, like this 2 years which are pending, this remaining 2 years has been called as unexpired term. Okay. So the time between dissolution and full term. Okay. So time between dissolution and full term, that has been called as unexpired term. Now suppose that in 2037 there is an election, it will be conducted. The house will have a tenure of only 2 years. The House will have a tenure of only 2 years. Now, let us say another case. Let us say another case that in June 2038, the House is dissolved again. Let us say that House is dissolved again. So what will happen then? Again there will be election, and then that House will have a tenure of 1 year only. That House will have a tenure of 1 year only. Okay. So this unexpired term has now been fixed, that from 2034 to 39, 2039 to 2044. So it will work in this manner. If there are any other election, it will be for the unexpired term. So that is one thing which has been defined. Okay. And this election will be called as mid-term election. And the remaining simultaneous election, this election will be called as general election. It will be called as general election. And the mid-term elections are like this. These elections, they will be called as mid-term elections. Okay. So their name has been properly defined in the Act, that what will be the names of the elections and how it is going to be conducted. In panchayats you have seen that there is a provision. In panchayats you might have seen that there is a provision that if 6 months is pending, then there won't be any election. If 6 months is pending, then there won't be any election. But till now, in the main Act, there is no such mention of it. Till now, there is no such mention of it in the main Act. Okay. So in the main Act, it is simply saying midterm. There is no such thing that what about only if 2 months are there, or only about 3 months are there, or 6 months are there. So it has not been mentioned here. Okay. That is one part. Second thing, when it is going to start, when we will have simultaneous election as per this 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill. When are we going to have this? So it has been said that after the next general election, like suppose right now, if the government continues for 5 years, if the government is continuing for 5 years, then there will be a election in 2029. There will be an election in 2029. But this will not be a simultaneous election. After the next general election, that is 2029, then after what we will see that President will issue a notification. President will issue a notification. Okay. President is going to issue a notification after this 2029 election. Okay. The President will issue that. Now the next election, now there will be like this President will issue a notification that will be called as the appointed date. Okay. That will be called as the appointed date. Okay. It will be called as appointed date. And after this, what we see that after this, in the next general election, what we will see that it will be a simultaneous election. It will be a simultaneous election. Okay. So it will not be done. It will not be done in 2029. After 2029, the President will issue a notification, and after that notification, in the next general election, there will be use of this simultaneous election. There will be use of this simultaneous election. Now suppose that in 2029, there is Lok Sabha election. There is, let us say that, Lok Sabha election or general election. So it is having a tenure ends in 2034. Tenure ends in 2034. But suppose that between 2029 to 2034, between 2029 to 2034, there may be some election in some of the states. Let us say that election in Bihar in 2030, Bihar election. Okay. 2031, let us say that there is UP election. Okay. 2032, let us say that MP election. So they are having 3 election in 2030, 31, 32. Their tenure will end in 2034. Their tenure will also end in 2034. So they will be having the government for 4 years, they will be having for 3 years, they will be having for 2 years. If someone is having election in 2033, they will have government for just 1 year. So this is one thing which will be done after the president notification, that next time in 2034 we are going to have this general election, and all other elections in like a state legislative assembly, they will have a reduced tenure then. It will end in 2034 at all. For all of them, it is going to end in 2034. Okay. Now, this one part, that is one part, like how the elections are going to be conducted. We have already seen that what if midterm election is there. We have seen a part, what if midterm election, in the case of midterm election, the elected government, what we see that the elected government will have tenure of unexpired term. Means the remaining term. Whatever is remaining, 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, 4 years, whatever is remaining, they will have that government for this unexpired term. So this is one thing which has been done as part of Constitutional Amendment Bill 129. Okay. It's not a detailed bill. Even if you want to see, you can see each and every provision of this. Okay. It is not too much bulky. The entire document is just in 7 to 8 pages. So if you want to read, you can read that entire amendment also. A large portion of it is just about the statement, the intent and everything. The main acts which are there, they are hardly in 2 or 3 pages. So you can also read that, what has been written in that 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill. Okay. Now, there is one thing, this will lead to insertion of some articles. There will be Article 82A that will be inserted. It will be about simultaneous election to the House of People and Legislative Assembly. Article 83, it will change the duration of Houses of Parliament. Article 172, duration of a state legislature. And Article 327, power of Parliament to make provision with respect to election to legislature. These are the provisions which are getting changed. Or added to the Constitution. So this is one thing which has been introduced in the Parliament, 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill. Right now, it has been referred to a Lok Sabha committee. Okay. Referred to Lok Sabha committee. Okay. Lok Sabha committee. So this is one thing, it has been introduced and it has been referred to Lok Sabha committee. In upcoming times, there may be some change in the bill also. There may be some modification, some change or some addition in it. Okay. So right now, this is the 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill. I hope it is clear. This first part, I hope it is clear. What is this bill which has been introduced? Now tell me this one simple thing. I think I have asked it earlier also. Will this require approval by the states also? Will this require this approval by the state also, or can it be done by the parliament only? Can it be done by parliament itself, or will it require approval from the states? This is one question from all of you. Will it require approval from the states, or can it be done by the parliament itself? What will be the provision? By the parliament? Yes. So remember this part, how it is going to be done. It will be done by the parliament only. Okay. Parliament itself. State government, there is no requirement of the state government to pass it. It is not the part where there is requirement of approval by the states. It is not interfering with elections to panchayats or municipalities. If there is any amendment to panchayats or municipalities, it will require the approval of states. But for state legislature election, there won't be requirement of approval by the states.